Hello, it's the Great Canadian Bagel here, coming to you with the next update to the US presidential election prediction series. There's been a ton of movement this week. It has moved so much. You'll see when I go in the last part of the video, when I go over my model's predicted national polling numbers, Biden has shot out to a relatively comfortable lead in national popular vote. That said, his lead right now is only around 2-ish%, and Biden really needs to win by 3 to 4% range to comfortably win the Electoral College, because the Democrats blow out a couple states, whereas the Republicans win a bunch of states by a less significant margin. So like the Georgias and the North Carolinas, the Republicans, when they win by 5 to 10% range, whereas the Democrats will win New York, California, Massachusetts, Maryland, etc. by like 30 plus points. So there's quite a big difference there. But to get into the walkthrough of what this week's projection is going to look like, I will note, put one caveat on this one. Like last week, there's a ton of movement in the polls, so I don't know how much predictive power this has going forward, but this is what it looks like today. So starting with safe Democrat seats, we got Hawaii, we got California, we got New York, Vermont, and Massachusetts. No surprises here. Moving into safe Republican seats, we got Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, North, South Dakota, Nebraska at large, 1st, 3rd, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and West Virginia. So we can immediately see here that the Republicans have lost, or Trump specifically has lost some ground in safe seats, and that's gonna be a trend going forward here. So Democrat likely Oregon, Washington, Maryland, Delaware, I forgot, District of Columbia, it's so small I never notice it. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine at large, and Maine first. I will note Maryland and Washington, as last week, are really on the cusp of being safe, but they're not quite there. But for all intents and purposes, consider Washington and Maryland closer to New York and California than they are to Maine at large. But that's what happens when I only have 4 colors to work with. And I mean, technically I have 9 colors, but there's only 4 colors for Democrats, so there's a lot of overlap. Or it's not very fine-tuned. Well, that's what we got. Moving to Republican likelies, Alaska, Montana, Kansas, Missouri. So at this point, we can really, really see quite clearly Biden's has increased his safe and likely this week by a good amount. I believe that's like 20 points. Forgive me if I'm wrong, I didn't double check the numbers offhand. Trump has lost safe and likely. Some big offenders, losing South Carolina, Ohio, Texas, and a couple of these that were likelies, not anymore. That's an issue for him. If he wants to win, he can't do that. That's bad for him. Moving to Democrat lean, we got Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, Minnesota, Illinois, and New Jersey. So Minnesota is just on the cusp of being a toss-up. It's very close there. The rest of these are quite comfortably in the lean column. They're around the middle range of lean. So just a refresher, lean is if you're leading by more than 2 but less than 10. Minnesota is 2.1. The rest of these are around 6-7 points. To Republican lean, we have Arizona, Texas, Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina. Oh, that's Virginia. Oop, nope. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. I will note all of these are like 2-3 points at most. Sorry, like 2.1 to 3 points at most, except South Carolina, which is a bit safer. It's like 4 or 5 points. So it may look like there's a lot in the lean column, but most of these are quite barely in the lean column for Trump. Oh, and I forgot. Maine second. That's a bit more comfortable, depending on the poll. There's not a lot of polling for it, so Maine second and Nebraska's second districts are, I think, the most likely two that I'm going to get wrong, because there's not a lot of good polling for these. You'll get like one poll every like 3 or 4 weeks, which, I mean, it's reasonable. It's one single electoral district. It's quite expensive to poll them. So, moving into Democrat tilt, we got Virginia and Michigan. Both fairly close. It would not be unreasonable to see Trump take either of those two. It also would not be unreasonable for Biden to win them. Obviously, they're in his tilt column, so he's expected to win. Moving to Republican tilt, we got Wisconsin. Again, would not be unreasonable to see Biden win Wisconsin, but Trump is slightly leading. And now we have another lovely situation, as we had a couple weeks ago. Pennsylvania and New Hampshire are toss-ups. I think New Hampshire, as of this prediction, is predicted to be won by Biden by like 500 votes. And Pennsylvania is like a few thousand for Trump. And when I say a few thousand, I mean like 2 or 3. So, as of today, the winner of New Hampshire and Pennsylvania is not necessarily who's polling better, it's who shows up to the polls. So, it's perfectly possible right now that this is a perfect tie, which is kind of interesting. This is the first tie in my predictions, like exactly perfect tie potential. It is potential that Trump could win by an acceptable margin. And by acceptable, I mean like his win in the Electoral College is comfortable. It's a comfortable win in the Electoral College. For Trump as possibility, sorry, I forgot to list Nebraska second as for Biden there as a tilt. Biden doesn't currently have an easy path, but as I said, it's not impossible. It is perfectly within the realm of reason that he could flip Wisconsin, because the margin of error on a lot of these places is like 5-6 points, and Trump's leading Wisconsin by 1 in the two-party matchup. So, ignoring all third-party candidates, Trump is only leading Biden by like 1 point, which in reality means he's leading it by like half a point, which would be roughly, I believe, the margin he won in 2016 by in Wisconsin. So yeah, that is overall projection. Trump lost a ton of ground. Biden gained a bunch of ground, but Trump still has the chance of winning in his best, or in the most likely scenario here. So we will see. Moving into Trump's best case scenario, for those keen viewers who've seen many of these, this looks very familiar. There's not a lot of movement. It's just a bit of fluctuation around the edges. Delaware, New Jersey, Oregon, Maine at large are lean set of tilts now. Really, actually, instead of going individuals, I think the best way to phrase this is, this change is Biden has flipped to Maine at large and New Mexico. Otherwise, states have got Biden's states that were going for Biden in Trump's best case have gotten safer, and states that were going for Trump in his best case have gotten less safe. So his best case has gotten a little worse, but it's still 348, well within the 330, 355 range that he seems to be hovering in. which is quite interesting to me that my model's very, very steady on Trump's upper bound. If Trump wins the election by more than 355 electoral votes, I will be utterly shocked. My model has not predicted him winning that much at all at this entire campaign, so that would be a very shocking result. It's not necessarily impossible, as if we see here, like Illinois and New Mexico are tilts. And my general rule of thumb is that whenever a pollster has, or polling aggregator has something as a tilt margin, so less than 2%, literally any party, or either party could win that seat, and you should not be shocked if that happens. So in this scenario, it should not be shocking if Trump won by, 373? That should not be a shocking result. It'd be a bit better than expected, but it wouldn't be shocking. That said, I'm not expecting him to win Illinois and New Mexico. And frankly, I'm kind of surprised Illinois is tilt still. Moving to Biden's best case scenario, a blowout. This is a landslide. If Biden wins by this is definitively a landslide to me. I think if you get really above 350, you've won by a landslide. And in this scenario, too, it's perfectly reasonable that Biden could win by 412 electoral votes if he flips South Carolina and Texas, which are tilts. That said, Trump could not lose in a landslide. That's not really much of a consolation prize. He could get like 398 if you picked up Maine second, North Carolina and Ohio, and Nebraska second. That doesn't really tell you. That's not good news for Trump, but I guess it mitigates his loss. But I mean, at that point, who cares? If you lose, does it matter if you lose by 375 to 163, or does it matter 198 to 340? Does the margin matter at that point as the loser? Because even 340 to 198 is still a solid win. I wouldn't say it's a landslide, but it's a decisive victory. Because to me, generally, 270 to 300 is, 270 to like 190, 270 to 290 is a narrow win in the Electoral College. 290 to 310 is a comfortable win. 310 to 330 is decisive, or 310 to 350 is decisive, and anything past 350 is a landslide, in my mind. So in 2016, Trump got a comfortable win in the Electoral College, but he didn't get a decisive victory in the Electoral College. So, let's just move over to the graph here so we can see what we're going on. So just before I touch on the graph, we can see last 5 days Biden's been hovering around 50, plus or minus 0.3 it seems. He got a huge bump up on October 3rd, which I think October 3rd, yeah, that would be like the first iteration of polls post-debate, because polls typically are like a 4 or 5 day delay. So it takes 4 or 5 days to collect the polling results. So I think it's safe to say that the debate bumped Biden up. And Trump really only started losing ground. I mean, he lost a bit of ground from the debate, it looks like. If you look here, it looks like from October 2nd, he lost about a point. I'd say that you could say that roughly that 1 point was from the debate, but I think since then he lost a bunch of points because of his COVID diagnosis. That's my gut feeling. I have no data for this. That is just my gut feeling. I just don't know anything else that has happened since that would cause him to see this sudden extra drop of 2 points, because he already lost like a point and then he lost another 2 points. Or no, he lost like a point, then lost another 1.5 points. So he's resting around minus 2.4. When on October 3rd, the day of the debate, wait, was that the day of the debate? No, that was a Saturday. So, the first day that polling post-debate was coming on, he was leading 0.9, and then as soon as the polling comes in from post-debate, he immediately drops. The national average went from 0.9 to minus 1.7 for him, or plus 1.7 to Biden. So Biden is now comfortably leading, about 2.4. So he's a bit better position than Hillary was, but not a better enough position that I think he would win. I really think Biden needs to have a 3-point margin. And if we look here, it looks like Trump's on a slight rebound. We'll see if that materializes. We probably won't see many more polls until Saturday, Sunday. There doesn't seem to be a lot of polls Friday or Thursday, Friday. So today and tomorrow, as when this video is being published. So right now, it looks like Biden has taken a comfortable lead. Well, I'm going to rephrase this. He's taken a non-comfortable lead, but he's gained ground back, which he needed to gain. Because if we go back to October 1st, so here, this was a bad time. That was a bad time for Biden. Trump was leading by 2.2 points. And Biden was on the downward trend, but that debate, the debate really turned it around for him, I think. Surprisingly. I don't think he performed very well in the debate, but I'm not a voter. So, doesn't matter, but I think. Well, if you liked the video, please like, share, subscribe, comment below if you have any thoughts on why Biden has seen this huge surge recently. If you think my analysis on that is correct, maybe you think if you don't like what my model is, I mean, feel free to comment. If you think you see any errors, it's kind of hard because I'm not really showing a lot of the mechanics because I spent a lot of time working on this. I don't really want to throw out the underlying guts in case someone takes it. I'm a very small channel, so some bigger channel might be like, I like that model, I'm going to steal it. Or some major news company. So a bit tight-lipped about that, but I mean, feel free to comment. Please, if you like the video, like the channel, share it around, spread the information. Helps out. Otherwise, hope you have all a good day.